We're joined by Jean-François di Meglio, president of the Asia Center think tank. Thanks for being with us.
Good evening, François.
What do you do when your population's declining? What's the recipe?
Well, you know the motto. The problem with China is that it would grow old before it gets rich, and that's the whole issue. When you grow old, not only do you grow old, which is a burden on the economy, but also the process of overcoming what you call the middle income trap becomes more and more of a problem. And this is the issue with China. China intends to join the club of the rich countries, and it might not, just because the middle income trap is where you are trapped when your middle income is not beyond, let's say, $10,000 per capita. And if China keeps on growing older and older, it will not get to this club.
So, well, what are the options? First off, we've seen it here in France, raising the retirement age?
Yes, well, the issue, is giving hope to people. I think that's the best issue, because many countries do have this issue of not having enough kids, and you would find this in countries, one, becoming richer and richer in a way, which is the case for most Asian countries. Those Asian countries used to have like 2-3 kids per family, and then they got to the point where, of course, women work, which is, of course, a very good sign. Not necessarily do they have infrastructure to take care of the kids beyond the grandparents, which, of course, want or don't want to take the burden or the care. And people enjoy life. China is just in that situation where people discover that beyond work, you also have the possibility to enjoy life. But that's also an issue for the future, because to enjoy life, you have to be able to consume. And to be able to consume, you are to be able to get richer. So, it's catch-22, actually. We don't have this problem in richer countries. The issue we have is, of course, the identity. It's very different in Asia, because they don't have issue with immigration. So one of the solutions that you probably have in mind does not exist.
You're preempting my next question,
exactly.
Which is, do you bring in immigrants?
Yes, it does not exist yet in Asia. It's not to happen soon, because if you take Japan, which is already declining and has been declining since 1991, if you take Korea, if you take China, resenting to immigration is a very, very common value.
Yeah. The other problem is, if you want to have babies, it's nice to have your own apartment, and that's not always the case in China.
Well, it's more and more the case. Look, so many empty flats. Of course, they are still expensive. They will tend to be cheaper and cheaper because of the rising prices. So I'm not sure this is more of a problem of cost of living, or even ability to find an appropriate house. It's more an issue of hope and standard of living. It's so different now from what it used to be in China 20, 30 years ago. The young people don't necessarily understand the pressure they have on them. The pressure is to keep on with the national effort to have a richer China, a bigger China, and also the effort, which is keep on working just like your parents did work. And this is the syndrome that you have with many, many young generation in China, the lay down syndrome, and what you can call the couch potato syndrome in the US, where work is less and less of a value and pleasure is more and more of a value.
The Financial Times did an interesting graph. They showed, because it's the year of the dragon, right? And during the year of the dragon, superstition has it, or the custom is, that it's better for making babies.
Yes.
More babies are made in the year of the dragon in places like Singapore, Taiwan.
Yes.
but not in China itself. Why is that?
Well, Year of the Dragon is just starting next month. It has not started yet.
But they're looking at previous years of the dragon.
Yes. Now, yes, it's a symbol, but it will have a marginal impact, possibly. It will not have a dramatic impact. It's not like people were waiting for the Year of the Dragon. It's still in the minds, yes, but I'm not so sure it will have an impact.
So what is Xi Jinping, what are his options, and what does he look like he wants to do? Because remember, the plan had been, right, to try to, as you say, stimulate domestic spending, consumer spending,
yes.
and to try to get the debt under control for things like the housing.
Yes, actually, unfortunately for Xi Jinping, if I may say, he's not only paying the price of China getting richer, but he's also paying the price of the previous policies, the one-child policy, because, demographic effect is taking place 30, 40 years after the fact. And this is exactly what we see. If the one-child policy has not been taken in place like 30 years ago, or if it had been milder, let's say, you would have more couples and more parents. And on top of this, one very, very singular effect of the one-child policy in China, which we do not have in other countries, is that you have many more males than females. I'm sorry, but how do you make babies?
When you heard France's president earlier this week talk about the need for a demographic rearmament, what was your reaction, you as a China watcher?
Well, demography is not a weapon. So rearmament is a nice word, of course, but I think we also heard the word war when we had the COVID. Fortunately for us, we speak much more about war and weapons than if we had real war. We don't have war yet, fortunately. So why speaking about rearmament? But it's true that there is something to be done in France to give, again, hope to people.
Giving hope to people.
I think that's the point. Yes.
Jean-François di Meglio, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Stay with us. There's much more to come here on France 24. More news plus the day's business and sports.